Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Big Sports News, Access Rotation, however the flip you know me on these interwebs. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick recap of what happened during Week 1 of Stage 2 of the CDL, going into Major 2. So, yeah, let's get right into it. So, we kicked off our Major 2 qualifiers with the LA Thieves taking on the Carolina Royal Ravens. You guys can see on the screen here that I thought LA Thieves would get it done in a Game 5. I thought the Carolina Royal Ravens would be a very formidable opponent for the LA Thieves, and I thought they would square up in the respawns, but let's look at the stats to see if that came to be true. It did not, as you guys can see. It was a 3-0, so we kicked things off on Vault Hardpoint with a very strong showing from the LA Thieves, who were up 250 to 153 after the end of this map. So in the map 1, our standouts here were Envoy and Scrap. That duo, of course, dropped 29. Those guys have been cooking ever since Major 1 LAN. So for me, I'm going to keep my eyes on Envoy and Scrap more so than Hydra and Ghosty on the LA Thieves, just because they are the standouts right now. Now on the Carolina Royal Raven side, the only person who put up a real effort was Gwyn. He dropped 38. He tried to do everything for the Carolina boys, but nothing could be done in the end. And that's how he lost 251-53. And then on the Hacienda S&D, it was 6-2 in favor of the Thieves. Yeah, Ghosty and Hydra, the two that I was not looking at, decided to pop off in this S&D, and that's how the Thieves got it done. I mean, everybody on the Carolina side just had a rough one, so not going to get it done that way. And then on the protocol control, of course, that being the third and final map in the series, we, of course, had Ghosty as our kill leader with 27, and then on the Carolina Royal Raven side, we had Gwyn as our kill leader with 30. So yeah, I mean, Gwyn, he had a great series. Let's look at the series overview to see just how well he did. He was 71-57. Yeah, I mean, he had literally 15 more kills than his second best team, than his second closest teammate. So yeah, I mean, Gwyn was frying, everybody else was dying. That's pretty much the story in the series. Everybody else in LA Thieves, I mean, they were all pretty close to even, a little bit positive, but nobody was really like frying quite like Gwyn was. So yeah, I mean, Thieves just had a really great team performance, while as Carolina had a singular superstar performance from Gwyn. And that's always going to be a huge difference maker in an important series like this. And that's how the Thieves were able to get it done. So, looking at our next matchup of the day, we had the Boston Breach taking on the Vegas Falcons. And Vegas, they surprisingly won a map. So, let's see how the boys in green got it done. So, looking at the series overall, of course, you guys can see it was 3-1 in Boston's favor. They won 250 to 199 on Vault Hardpoint, behind a strong performance from Cammy. He, of course, was a kill leader with 31, followed by Purge with 27. So great showing from those two. And then on the Vegas Falcons side, King dropped 27. He was the kill leader on that side. And Xnid and Wixel were right there behind him with 25. Dahum with 22. So everybody on the Falcons had a pretty decent slaying effort. And they were pretty close to finally getting a hardpoint victory. But alas, they're still 0-15. In the map 2, Vegas's best mode typically. They had a really rough one on Hacienda S&D. It looks like they just don't have a lot of reps or comfort on Hacienda S&D. So that looked to be the difference there. And yeah, Boston, they couldn't have looked more comfortable on Hacienda S&D conversely. So yeah, you see Cammy was 9-3. He had an amazing series. Snoopy 8-4, Wake 6-5, and Purge 6-5. So looking at the map 3, we of course had a Volt that went down to round 5. And yeah, Cammy once again was kill leader on the Boston Breach side. He had an amazing series here, it has to be said. Cammy's gotten a lot of criticism, but you know, he deserves the praise when he's frying like this. So he dropped 37, and then on the Vegas Falcons side, the kill leader, of course, was King, who dropped 33. Very solid showing from the Vegas boys. They got another control victory, this time over a very solid team in the Boston Breach. So definitely nothing to ignore here for the Vegas Falcons. Definitely keep an eye on these guys, like I keep saying. At some point, you have to think they're going to break through and win a series, and just chain it all together. Yeah, so looking at the map for Hacienda Hardpoint, pretty much as everyone expected, this went in favor of the Boston Breach. And once again, Cameron Sensitivity Training McKilligan with 31 kills, the kill leader. I mean, he was cooking. And then King on the other side, he had 31 as well. So it was a duel between Cammy and King. And of course, Cammy came out on top by about 70 seconds. So yeah, looking at our next series, we of course had the Vancouver Surge taking on my home team, Atlanta Faze. You guys know I'm a big Faze guy.
You can do
You
it
can do
too,
it too,
Faze
Faze
up.
up. And yeah, The series happened. Neptune had an insane debut, and he accomplished what no one else ever really has, which is taking down Faze in their debut match. I can't remember anyone really doing that. But yeah, so looking at this series, the only player on Faze to have a pretty solid series was Abizi, who went positive by one singular kill. So negligible. And then on the other side, Nasty 1.42 and Neptune 1.1 in his debut against Atlanta Faze. You have to tip it. So we kicked things off on the vault hardpoint. Faze came out dominant, 250 to 229. Abizi and Draza, of course, were the two kill leaders with 35 on Draza and 34 on Abizi, but it must be said, Cell and Simp were right behind them. And then on the other side, we of course had Neptune and Nasty, who were the kill leaders on the Vancouver, I always say Seattle, Vancouver Surge with 37 and 31. So looking at the map too, the Vancouver Surge were able to get their get back, and yeah, Abuza 13 and 6, Neptune 9 and 7, you're probably going to win. Then, of course, 04 with 6 and Nasty with 6 and 6. They were just dominating the whole time on this red card. Faze just didn't look very comfortable at all. And yeah, that's pretty much how they were able to get it done. Then on the protocol control, it was a pretty hot 3-0 from the Vancouver Surge side, which is really surprising because Faze is typically pretty good at protocol control. So I wasn't expecting this one to go down. But yeah, looking at the Vancouver side, everybody was shooting. Nasty 25 and 17, and then Neptune 28 and 21, and then Abuza 15 and 19, and 04 22 and 19. They were just cooking. Simp 15 and 27. He had a really bad one. And everybody else was decent, but you have to think if you get more out of Simp, it's probably a different map. Yeah, and then the last series, of course, Nasty and Abuza went off in this one. Yeah, 04 was 12 and 23, and they still won. So yeah, Surge, they're looking a lot more comfortable on the map. They had a 2-0 weekend, spoiler. But I like what I've seen from Neptune. And Nasty, it looks like they've unlocked him. He's Nasty now again. So, yeah, so you got to be very happy with that if you're a Surge fan. I don't know how many of you there are, but got to be happy about that. So, yeah, looking at our next one, we had Boston taking on LAG. Yeah, you guys can see I had a 3-2 for LAG. I was clearly tweaking. And, yeah, I should have chose Boston. But anyways, we move. So, yeah, let's see what happened there. What went wrong, LAG? Other than everything, what went wrong? So, yeah, 250 to 248 in favor of the Gentlemates on the Hacienda hardpoint. Linz dropped 35 and 25 for the Dubski. And that's pretty much all she wrote. I mean, on the other side, Boston, everybody was negative but Snoopy, who was positive by 3 kills, negligible amount. And yeah, I mean, it was a bang out. It was a very close map 1, went down to the wire. The boys in purple able to get it done. In the map 2, we of course had Linz as our kill leader on the LAG side, and then on the opposing side for the Boston Breach, we had Snoopy with 11 on him and Cammy with 8. So yeah, Boston got it done pretty decisively with a 6-4 scoreline. Then in the vault control, we of course had a strong performance from Kismet on the LAG side, and another strong performance from Snoopy on the Boston Breach side. And Boston, of course, took this one with a decisive 3-1. It was pretty dominant, if we're being honest. Looking at the red card map 4, we had Kismet, who stood out as our kill leader on the LAG side. And then on Boston, everybody had a pretty rough series, or I'm sorry, a rough map. The kill leader was Cammy with 24, but yeah, I mean, he went negative, and so did everybody else. So yeah, that's just LAG map 5 Force. And yeah, in that Force map 5, the only one who showed up was Skies. And then on the Boston Breach side, Purge Masterclass, he was 10 and 3. He was just cooking. He was doing everything that needed to be done. And yeah, that's pretty much how that series went down. I mean, not really a lot else to say. It wasn't too difficult. Couple blowouts here and there. Everything was a blowout except for map 1. So yeah, pretty cut and dry. Looking at our next matchup, we had the Minnesota Rokkr taking on the Miami Heretics. You guys can see, I thought it would be a Game 5 victory for the Rokkr. I thought Rokkr diffy. I thought the personnel on this team was just better. I thought that would be the difference maker, and that seems to be the case. So, looking at the map 1, you guys can see it was a Skyline 250 to 248. We had that in back-to-back series, which is crazy. As you guys can see, Real dropped 42, Rancor dropped 35, and then on the other side, you had Nero dropping 37 and Paulex right behind him at 34. Paulex turned up this weekend. I'm happy for him. He definitely needed that because he was on the chopping block. And, that's just rough. So, happy Paul turned up. Looking at the S&D on Hacienda map 2, it was 6-5 in favor of the Minnesota Rokkr boys. Let's see how they got it done. So looking at it, we have Real, Rancor, and Super going over 10 Real and Rencourt on 10 and Super on 12 is insane. And then on the Minnesota Rokkr side, you had Geo on 10, Nero on 9, and Paul X on 7, and Estriel on 3 and 10 to combat Lucky's 3 and 8, which is insane. Wow. So this was an absolute bang out, and yeah, I mean, wow. 10, 10, and 12 is insane. Straight duel. So yeah, Rokkr iced up, and then after icing up in that kind of map, yeah, momentum's definitely going to be on your side, and they did not let go of that momentum. They 3-0'd them in the protocol control. Estriel was 18 and 6, Geo was 18 and 13, Nero was 21 and 13, and Paul was 17 and 11. Like, no one was shooting back on Miami. Like, it's just rough. And then in the last map, map 4, well, I mean, Miami was playing with a substitute, so the series was pretty chalked. We didn't know in advance, but yeah, found out they were playing with a substitute, so it is what it is. You know, not a lot to take away. So looking at, of course, Rokkr on this one, Estrel 31-28, Nero and Paul X, of course, both with 33. Great showing from them. You expect them to beat Miami with a substitute, right? With Super filling in for medals, you expect it to be a Miami loss, right? Like, you're not expecting Miami to pull out a dub here, so nothing too surprising in this series. Rokkr handled business as they should. Miami, I mean, they were playing with the sub. Expectations were low and they were met, so it is what it is. Looking at our next series, we had the series of the week in most of our minds that ended up not being that at all because Optic got DoorDash in record time. Not really a lot to cover in this series. Surprisingly, this was a series everybody was looking forward to, and it just kind of didn't do that. So looking at the map 1 on Vault Hardpoint, we of course had Faze taking that 250 to 171 behind a 37 bomb from Draza and Simp and 32 from Cell. So yeah, they were just frying. I mean, look at this. Dashy 16-33, Kenny 21-28, Pred 30 and 29, Shotzi 31-29. I mean, Kenny and Dashy doing this badly, like, that's rough. So, I mean, you play a team like FaZe, you expect things like that to happen if teams slipping up. So, it is what it is. Looking at map 2, Vault S&D, we of course had Simp standing out with 10 and Draza once again being right there with him with 8. So, yeah, FaZe had a pretty dominant lead on this one. And then on the Optic side, you had Kenny being the lone standout with 8, and then Pred right behind him with 7. So great showing from those two, but not good enough. Then in the map 3, we of course had Tyler Abizi going off for 23 kills, and everybody on Optic just went red. Kenny was 7 and 21, Pred 16 and 17, not bad. Shotzi 12 and 18, and Dashy 16 and 17, not bad. So yeah, I mean, Kenny had a really bad map 3, and all the Optic boys just had a bad series, so they just got tucked to bed good night in record time, and yeah, we got on with things pretty quick. I actually had to leave, so it was perfect for me. I was like, good, I get to leave like on time, and it's not even like stressful. So looking at our last matchup of the day, we had the Toronto Ultra taking on C9, and C9 surprisingly got a 3-0 over the Toronto Ultra boys. So let's see how they got it done, ladies and gentlemen. So looking at it, they kicked things off with a red card hard point where Mac dropped 38 on Toronto. I mean, geez. Look at Kleenex, man. He had 20 kills. He was getting absolutely cooked. My prize picks were destroyed. I mean, Jesus Christ. But anyways, Joe dropped 31. I mean, he cooked. He was the only one. Beans was right there with him with 28. It's close to cooking. I mean, almost, but, you know, food was burnt on delivery, so whatever. And then looking at the map too, good God almighty. Attach, 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 turn back time to 2014. Bro got me feeling like I'm watching AW Champs once again, and he just got robbed of MVP. Oh my God. Wow. 10 and 1 is crazy. So yeah, you're not winning if you let a guy go 10 and 1. If you let him go 10 and 1, that means that he got 10 kills to your 9 not kills. That, like, what? How is he 10 and 1? Bro, what were you guys doing on the map? Sleeping? Clearly. I mean, 2 and 7, 3 and 7, 6 and 7, 2 and 7. The only thing they were not doing is shooting back. Alright, so on to the map 3. Wow, I mean, Kremp 29 and 20 is insane in a 3-1. His pace was just nuts in this map. So was Joe's. I mean, 29 and 21, he's right there with him, literally. And then you had Sib 25 and 20, which is obviously the big difference maker when Matt goes 12 and 24 and Attach goes 18 and 24. So, yeah, I mean, Toronto they weren't bad in the map 3, honestly. The only person who was negative was Insight by 7, and Kleenex -2 is not really negative. So they were close, but, you know, C9 just played better, more efficient COD, and Sib and Kremp were cooking. So, yeah, they got it done relatively shockingly, but very quickly for sure. And then in the next matchup, we of course had the LA Thieves taking on the Vegas Falcons. And yeah, pretty much as everyone expected, LA Thieves won, but Vegas actually won a map because LA Thieves were massively trolling on Skyline. Like massively trolling. So let's look at the series. So on map 1, we of course had a red card hardpoint where Dahum dropped 32, once again destroying my prize picks. His under was 22. Insane. And then on the LA Thieves side, everybody did pretty well except for Envoy. He had 21. Ghosty had 34. Hydra had 31. Scrap had 30. So they all did pretty well. Looking at the map 2, we of course had a Skyline S&D where we were all caught by surprise. The Vegas Falcons were able to win this one behind a 10-1 performance from Dahum. And yeah, everybody on LA Thieves was just getting cooked. They were getting shot in the side, in the back. Everything you don't want to happen in Call of Duty was happening to them. And yeah, I mean, that's tough. That's tough. It is what it is. On to the map 3, LA Thieves, they got their get back. They put B2A, if you know what I'm saying. Hydra 24 and 14, Ghosty 19 and 17, Envoy 23 and 22, and a 3-0 to boot on Bolt Control. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. X in 20 and 19, not good enough. To whom 18 and 17, just not going to get it done against Team like LA Thieves. Mop the floor with them. And then in the Skyline hardpoint, they of course continued mopping. 250 to 125. I mean, look at the LA Thieves, boys. Hydra 33 and 20 is crazy. Scrap 23 and 27. Ghosty 24 and 19. Envoy 23 and 20. Then on the other side, Wixel 23 and 25. 22 and 25, excuse me. King 22 and 25. Exon 21 and 29. And Dahum 21 and 24. So yeah, not going to get it done against a formidable team like LA Thieves, the guys who just made the grand finals at the last major. In our next series, we of course had the Toronto Ultra trying to get their get back against the Carolina Royal Ravens, and indeed they did get their get back, so your boy was right about this one, thankfully. I said it would be a 3-2 in favor of the Ultra. I thought it would go to another Game 5, like it did at the major, and the Ultra would right their wrongs, but they didn't want to take it to a Game 5, especially after an embarrassing 3-0 loss to a Cloud9 team that most people think is pretty bad, for being honest. So, yeah, let's get right into it though. On the protocol map 1, we of course had the Toronto Ultra going up 250 to 151 behind strong performances from, of course, Kleenex and Insight. Kleenex had a great bounce back from the series prior, where he, of course, started off 20 and 31. So yeah, this was a much needed bounce back for him in the protocol. Different map, different outcome, you know? So looking at the Carolina side, of course, the only person to put up a valiant effort was Slasher. He was just sitting top window, getting kills in P3, P2, P1, you name it. You can see it from there pretty much on that map. On the map 2, S&D, another round 11 for the Ultra Boys that they end up taking. Slasher had a 10 and 7. Vivid was right there with him with 9. And then on the Toronto side, Joe had 13 and Beans was right behind him with 8. So yeah, I mean, it was a great S&D. Definitely, if you missed it, go check it out. It was actually pretty fire. Yeah, fun one. Map 3 on Protocol Control. We, of course, had Carolina getting a slight rebound in this series. They didn't get 3-0'd, so their pride's still intact. And then on the other side, Toronto Ultra, everybody got tucked to bed. Good night. Best performing person was Joe DeCias with 28. And then on the other side, our kill leaders were TJ Halley and Gwyn with a dual 27 bomb. So that's how Carolina was able to get it done. TJ Halley and Gwyn were going nuts, and so was Vivid. So yeah, it was a pretty even effort from those three. Slash had a rough one, but those guys were just frying, so didn't matter. Then on the map 4, of course, Ultra were able to close it out in decisive fashion with a 250 to 216 scoreline. Looking at the Ultra boys, Joe dropped 43. Christ. And Insight was right behind him with 29. Right behind him, right. Yeah, of course. Is the right behind us in the room with us right now? Yeah. So, anyways, on the other side, Vivid surprisingly dropped 36 to the surprise of everyone in the community. And yeah, Gwyn dropped 31. He was the second best on the team. So, interesting stuff. Carolina, I was expecting them to push to a game 5, but you know, Slasher, he had a pretty rough series. So, yeah, you're not going to get it done with your main AR going -12, and then TJ also going -14. Gwen went -9 actually. So everybody but Vivid had a pretty bad series. So yeah, I mean, if everybody on the team but one has a bad series, you're gonna have a bad series. Looking at our next series, we of course had Cloud9 taking on this Vancouver Surge, and as you guys can see, I thought it would be a 3-2 in favor of Vancouver. I thought Vancouver was just a little bit diffy, a little bit better, a little bit icier, and they've been fraud checked a couple times and they passed. So I thought Neptune would be transformative, and transformative he was. Look at him with 110 kills. Look at that boy, Travis. Alright, so we kick things off on map 1, Vault Hardpoint, with a 250 to 181 from the Seattle Surge boys. Neptune dropped 31, and of course, Abuza was right there with him with a similar scoreline. He had 31 as well. And then on the New York side, we of course had Kremp with the standout 37 bomb, and then he was followed by Mac and Sib, the duo, who both dropped 29. Map 2, Hossie S&D. We of course had the Cloud9 boys taking this one in decisive fashion, 6-2 victory, really 6-2 victory from Kremp, 12 and 3 on the map. You're gonna get it done. And then Attach and Sib, of course, was 6. Both had positive KDs, so yeah, they were just frying in control the whole time. No pun intended, going to control protocol. We of course had a 3-2 for the Vancouver Surge behind a 38 bomb from Neptune. And then on the other side, you of course had Sib as the kill leader with 29. Not bad, but you know, when Neptune's dropping 38 and O4 is dropping 33, it's going to be a pretty rough one. Looking at the map for Hacienda Hardpoint, we of course had the C9 boys getting their lick back and forcing the game 5. Even though there were some pretty amazing plays from Neptune, and this one has to be said. That guy's been shooting. Like, he had a standout weekend for sure. Looking at the other side, yeah, I mean, Mac was a standout with 28 kills. It was a pretty even effort from all of C9. And then, like I said, Neptune, he had a great weekend. He was 33 and 24 in this map, so he was cooking. So in the map 5, the Vancouver Surge made it look so easy. O4 dropped 11 kills, and then on the other side, the best performer was Sib with 4. So yeah, subliners. Cloud9 just got flatlined, and yeah, I mean the S&D coaching I guess didn't work. So it is what it is. And then in the last series of the weekend, we had Optic taking on the Minnesota Rokkr, and Rokkr was actually able to get their first 3-0 on the season. It was a pretty tight one, it must be said. It was a very competitive series, and it was a pretty fun one. But yeah, let's look at the map 1. So of course we kicked things off on Skyline Hardpoint, and it was an absolute bang out. Dashy dropped 34 for the L, and then on the other side you had Nero dropping 41, and then Estriel dropping 38, and not too far behind him was Geo with 36. So yeah, I mean, Rokkr was cooking. I mean, there were a lot of kills on the map, and they were taking all of them. So looking at the map 2, similar story. As you guys can see, Rokkr had a very even effort in the S&D. You had Nero as kill leader with 9, and then Geo with 8, and Estriel and Pollux both with 7. So on the Optic side, the only players to really do well were the longtime duo of Dashy and Shotzi, who had 8 and 7 respectively. 8 and 7 both. So yeah, I don't know, just a rough series for these guys. And then in the map 3 Vault Control, this one was really close, so you can't say that this was like a choke for Optic or something. Like, they pushed around 5, and Minnesota just closed it out like pretty decisively towards the end, but it came down to the wire. So looking at it, Dashy and Pred, Shotzi and Pred were the 2 kill leaders. Pred dropped 39 kills in the control, which is insane. And on the other side, you had Nero and Paul X, both dropping 40 bombs, which is nuts. Paul X was going nuts. He was 40 and 30, so definitely the standout here. And yeah, Nero was the series MVP, as you guys can see. So crazy scenes seeing Optic go down to the Minnesota Rokkr to end the weekend, but it was definitely a really fun series. And looking at it, you can see Nero was 90 and 75. That guy was really, he was on one. So fun series, fun weekend overall. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, be sure to come back tomorrow for another video. I will be going over this week's upcoming matches, that being week 2 of Stage 2 of the CDL. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. And once again, this is Christian Big Sports News. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.